Okay, well, can anybody hear me out there? Oh, there's nobody here. Okay. Well, oh, Rhonda just got here. Hello, Rhonda. How you doing? Doesn't look like anybody else is here yet. Oh, maybe it's just Rhonda and I. Hello, Sorrenti. How are you doing? Welcome. Glad you could make it. I hope you can hear me okay. We can hear you. Good deal. Excellent. We'll just sit here and chit-chat for a little bit while we're waiting for folks to show up and arrive. Hello, Little Sky 65. How you doing? Welcome, and I'm glad you made it to the live stream. Cheryl Anderson. Hello, Cheryl. How are you doing? Glad to see you here at the live stream. Welcome. There's a little bit of a delay between when I see things and when I respond to them, so I apologize for that. Hello, Christine. Welcome. Glad you made it. Glad to see folks showing up. I had some concerns today. I didn't get my announcement out very early before the live stream started today, so we'll just see who all shows up. We're going to give it a couple minutes here and just see who all shows up, and if we can get folks here, and then we'll kind of start with what I wanted to talk about today. How's everybody doing? Anybody got any news or anything they'd like to share before we get started? I guess not. I guess not. All righty then. Well, today I think we're going to have a bit of a difficult day. I think the dog is going to be a pain in the butt today. Well, she didn't get as much of a walk. I went for my walk early this morning instead of going for my walk just before the live stream. And usually if I go just before the live stream, it'll tucker her out and she'll just lay down and be quiet during the live stream. But I went for my walk early this morning now, and so remains to be seen how she'll behave. Right now she's laying down, so hopefully that might be indicative of a pretty good deal. Maybe she'll be quiet and behave herself. Hello, Nasir Ali. Welcome. Glad to see you here. Very cool. Hey, if you guys could help me out here a little bit, it'd be really helpful to me if people posted where they are from. Just like to get a kind of handle on where my viewers are coming from, especially here on the live stream. So if those of you that are on watching, if you could just simply click on and tell us a little bit about where you are from, that would be great. And yes, Rhonda is correct. No baby giraffe yet. I've got the live stream playing on my iPad. No baby giraffe. Sweden, excellent. Wow, very cool. That's a long ways away, Nasir. Sweden, beautiful, beautiful country. A little cold, like up here in Alaska. It's a little cold, but Little Sky 65, Ohio now, but was Texas. Little Sky, where are you in Ohio? Rhode Island, originally Cape Cod. Okay, Christine, good to know. Rhode Island, beautiful state. Waterloo, Wisconsin. Hey, Cheryl. Waterloo, okay. Very cool. And by the way, to give you guys an idea of how long the lag is, I'm reading your names as soon as or your locations as soon as I see them in the chat. So anyhow, I find it kind of interesting to see where everybody's from. Kind of across the board. Sweden is cool. Glad to know we have some international folks represented. Easter, Ohio. I have no idea where Easter, Ohio is. Or are you saying Eastern Ohio? Near Youngstown. Okay, I know where Youngstown is. Up there in Rubberville. Those of you that don't know Ohio, the Akron, Canton, Youngstown area is where a lot of the rubber in America comes from. Your tires and stuff. Big industrial area through there. So, Eastern, yes. Okay. All right, well, cool. Well, folks, as new people come in, please say hello and tell us a little bit about where you're from, and that would be awesome. Okay. Got people texting me on stuff. I have all my belongings pretty much up on Craigslist right now, trying to liquidate my assets to free me up so that I can go do the sailing, cruising thing that I want to do. And so I get a lot of people texting me and messaging me, and I apologize for the beep, beep, beeps that we'll hear along the way. Speaking of beep, beep, beeps, I have got this weird phantom beep happening here in the cabin. I do not know where it's coming from. It is irregular. Every so often something will beep. One single beep, and that's it. Just a quick beep, and that's it. And I have no idea where it's coming from. I've looked all around, and it's not regular. It's like, sometimes I won't hear it forever, and then I'll hear it, and then an hour later I'll hear it again, and then I won't hear it forever, and so it's really weird. Lily, get away from the wire. Anyhow. Hey, Austin, glad to see you here. Smoke detector battery. No, not a smoke detector. Do not have a smoke detector set up in my cabin. Can't use a smoke detector in a small cabin when you have a wood stove. It would be going off all the time because it's always smoky in here. So we can't have a CO2 or a smoke detector inside here. So no, that is not what it is, although that would have been a good guess. And certainly I would have looked for that. But no, that's not what it is. I think it might be like the microwave or the toaster oven or something beeping, or I don't know. I don't have that many electronic things in here. It could be something whose battery is running out that's in a box and packed up here that's beeping, which is what I'm thinking it probably is. It's something whose battery is dying and it's trying to tell me its battery is dying. Meanwhile, it's living in some box or something. I don't know. I will have to tear the place apart apparently and find out, but the thing doesn't beep enough for me to even get a direction on it, let alone anything else. So, I don't know. Maybe 6 months from now, I'll open a box and find something with a dead battery, and that would have been it. So, I'm sure it is not all of that critical or all that big a deal. So, trail cam. No, it wouldn't be a trail cam. They don't make any noises at all. They're specifically designed not to make noise. So my oldest son lost a battery-operated watch a long time ago, and it beeped for a few weeks till it died. He eventually found it. Battery-operated watch. I don't have a battery-operated watch here. I do have some in storage in Montana, my scuba diving watch, but I do not have one here. Hello, Carolyn Harmon. Welcome. Glad you made it. Hello. The name, for some reason, is not striking me as familiar, so maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from. That'd be great. I'd appreciate that. So we have people from all over, including Sweden, with us today. So kind of weird. You never know where people come from. And I apologize for the table moving, but it's the damn dog. She's slowly nudging the table. I think it's in her way where she wants to lay down. So may have to just deal with that. Yes, Miss Lily sometimes can be a real pain in the butt. Westminster, oh, okay, Eastern Shore then. Very cool. Is Westminster on the shore in Maryland? Lily, get back. Go lay down. Yep, she's going to be a pain in the butt. Yep, I have a sister that lived in Maryland. I think she lives in New Jersey now, my sister Marianne. She's a dog breeder, Labrador Retriever breeder in central Maryland. Okay. Spent a lot of time in Maryland. Did a lot of hunting along the Eastern Shore. Used to shoot a lot of sporting clays there at a place called, they had a shooting competition called the Big Pig. Dieter Kriegoff was a friend of mine. He would invite me to come down and shoot at the Big Pig back in the days when I used to shoot a lot of clay targets. So I spent a lot of time in Maryland. Great crab there on the Eastern Shore. Great crab. There's certain foods that are just, you go certain places to get certain. If you want to eat crab, you go to the Maryland's Eastern Shore. It's just, unless you want Dungeness crab, and then you go to like Oregon, Washington, that area. So. Okay. Yeah, I don't really care, buddy. It's sort of funny. You get these people that are trying to buy something from you, and then they start telling you their entire life story. So, Ocean City, Maryland, known for their crabs. Yep. And I don't mean on the girls either. I mean eating crabs. Yep, good eating food. Oh, Old Bay Spice. Yes, that's right. Yep, Old Bay Spice is the state spice, I think, for Maryland. They certainly use a lot of it. And, it just naturally goes well with crabs. So, It's just one of those things, and something that I plan on having a good supply of on the boat with me, because I do plan on taking my shrimp and crab traps along with me. No thought bubble. It's way off here, off to the side. That make you happy? Yep. I moved it out of the way. Sorry about that, Rhonda. Sorry, I'm back. What's the conversation about? Oh, Sorrenti, we didn't even realize you were gone, and so far we've only been talking about Old Bay Spice and crabs in Maryland. So pretty lame, actually. Okay. So Austin Redmond, crabs. Yes, crabs. We've been talking about crabs. Eating crabs. Maryland they have these little blue crabs, very small blue crabs, and they cook them up, and they're just awesome. They boil them up with some Old Bay spice and other seasonings, and they're really good. You'll sit down at a table covered with some newspaper and make an afternoon of breaking and eating little crabs, and you don't get big chunks out of them like you do up here with our Alaskan king crab. You get little tiny pieces, but it's pretty good. So, Lily, go lay down. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and lock her in just so we can not deal with this. Otherwise, she's going to be problematic. I'll give her a bone and I'll keep her occupied for a bit. Sorry about that. Spiders of the sea. Yes, Alaskan king crab are most definitely spiders of the sea. In fact, I've got some crab pictures I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit. Now that we're kind of getting into things here and we've got some folks showed up, I guess it's time for me to kind of get into my program a little bit. And so I think I'll jump into that. Sorry about that. My nose is just really itchy. Not the inside of my nose, the outside of my nose. Weird. Anyhow, sorry about that. Yeah, so let me kind of get into my program. A lot of folks have been inquiring as to why in the hell I would want to get on a boat and get out in the ocean and go swimming with sharks and, all those nasty things out there. Why would I not want to homestead in Ohio with my family? And I'll get into that here in just a second. Let's see here. Hey, Grandpa, big fan. Just wondering when you're going to do more of your cooking episodes. I made beef stew. Marcus, good question. I will be doing some more cooking stuff once I get on a boat, which is what I'm kind of working towards right now. I guess I could throw some sort of thing together here pretty soon, but I have to admit, Marcus, my eating habits at the moment are fairly bizarre. I'm trying to sell my place here in Alaska, and so I am eating everything that's here and not buying any groceries. And so I'm eating up a lot of leftovers. Like I had some fish the other day, and there was leftover piece. I had some egg rolls, and there were a couple leftovers. I had some spanakopita, and there were a couple pieces left over. So I ended up having a meal of some fish pieces with some egg rolls and some spanakopita, and I had to put all that together to make one meal. So I'm eating these sort of weird meals of different things that, I found a can of clam sauce in the back of the pantry, and so I made linguine with clam sauce. I'm just eating a lot of really weird stuff right now, so it might be... well, I don't know. That could be, I guess, funny in itself, but we'll see. I'll try to get something put together sometime in the near future. Aquatic skeets, yeah, and my famous skeet barbecue. I need to start doing more of that kind of stuff. I really do. I was watching a movie this week. I don't know if any of you guys know Howard Stern. I actually know Howard Stern. Kind of grew up near him in Long Island, New York. In fact, Howard and I used to work out in the same gymnasium in Port Washington, New York. Him and Robin Quiver would come in there and work out, and they worked out the same gym at the same time that I did. In fact, it was him and Robin and me and another friend. It was just the four of us had the place to ourselves. Kind of place where you had your own trainer work with you. You didn't just go there to the gym, but it was sort of exclusive kind of thing. Back in the day when I was selling real estate in Long Island. Anyhow, so I used to work out with Howard and Robin. I got to know him fairly well. But I was watching his life story, the movie about him, and it was sort of interesting to his transition from trying to be a disc jockey to becoming Howard Stern. And one of the things that he said, which I thought was really interesting, was that he was not going to hold back anymore. That quite often he'll be talking about personal things and being a little reserved, keeping a little bit back, maybe not quite going for it. And he decided he should be better than that and just blurt it out. Well, me doing things like drilling some skeets, that's just me blurting it out. That's just me being me and having fun with it. And, Howard was able to, once again, inspire me to be me. You do you and I'm going to be me. And so I need to get me back. And part of this whole process, going through the divorce and all that I've done this last 2 years, I'm trying to recapture me, I'm trying to find myself again. I know that seems like I hate using that term, but it really is, for lack of a better term, what we've been doing. We're trying to find the old me that happened before all this shit happened to me. So, in fact, I did a post on Facebook this week about that. I sort of, I'm not going to use the F word, but I sort of un-F'd myself, if you will, and have reset myself back to the days before all the crap happened to me in my life that's made me this sort of sad, depressed person that I became. And so I've changed that. I've turned the corner now, and I'm heading in a much, much better place, which leads me right into what I want to talk about today. And what I want to talk about today was some pretty nasty stuff. A lot of people ask me why I would want to go sailing. Well, this is why. Okay? Here's a bird that's dead because it ate a bunch of garbage and plastic that was on the beach. Pretty nasty, nasty stuff. Okay? Here is a fish that died from eating some pretty nasty stuff. Here is a shrimp. Now, in this case, this is a invertebrate. This is a little tiny shrimp. And you see the yellowish spots inside of that shrimp. Those are pieces of plastic that were floating in the ocean that this krill invertebrate ate. And this is how plastic gets into our food system, because then other bigger fish come along and eat this guy, and so on and so forth. And it works its way down the line. You guys have heard me talking about why I don't like to see people go in a grocery store and get plastic bags. Well, here's a reason why I don't like to see people go and get plastic bags. Because sea turtles see those plastic bags floating in the ocean and think that they are jellyfish, which is what sea turtles eat, and so they eat them. And in this case, they get stuck in their throat and they die from them. Or, guys go and they get a six-pack of whatever and drink their six-pack, and they throw the little six-pack holder back over the bank, and it goes into the water. And some poor turtle gets caught in it. And here's a perfect example of what happens to them when they get into this situation. Folks, there's just too much plastic out in the ocean, okay? There's just way too much garbage out in the ocean. And so I want to try to do something to offset that. I'd like to be able to show people the really beautiful things that there are at the bottom of the ocean. Yes, I do consider that this bug is kind of interesting and is a beautiful thing. This little slipper lobster was pictured at about 4,000 meters below the surface. So we're talking about like a mile down, guys. It was found at the bottom. So yeah, so I'm interested in trying to save, little things like that. And this little crabby guy that again was taken down at that depth. It was sort of interesting, but here's this little kind of looks like an Alaskan king crab, but it's not. This is a much smaller little guy. Hey Teresa, welcome, glad you're here. But I'm also interested in saving little guys like this. Okay, and this is what I found amazing. Here I am watching the Okeanos Explorer, and they're off American Samoa, and they're down at, in this case, about 1,500 meters looking at stuff. And they came across this smiling glob of jello on the bottom. And I thought about all my reference books that I've looked through and everything that I've looked at, and I can't see anything that looks anything like that. I've never seen anything that looks like that. And I was relieved to hear these quote-unquote experts in their field, the scientists on board the ship monitoring the submersible that was down in the depth taking these pictures. They didn't have a clue what it was either. And so when we have some of the top scientists in the country not know what something is, and it's only 1,500 feet below the surface, guys. 1,500 feet, okay? That's like the width of a Walmart store, okay? 1,500 feet is not very big. And they didn't know what this thing was. I find that to be absolutely incredible. And then you get, little guys like this frogfish here, which, frankly, I think he's pretty spectacular. I think he's really, really pretty. With all the yellow coloring and stuff, you can see his little footses there. I think it's sort of interesting how he's got these little feet, and he walks around in these little feet. He's pretty spectacular, okay? But nobody cares about things like that, okay? Nobody anywhere on the planet really cares about stuff like that. And when we have people trying to tell us about things like that and explain to us why we should be concerned about that, we turn a deaf ear to it. Everybody does. I do it. I have a passion and interest in it, and I do it. I kind of just turn off, I'm tired of hearing about how I'm to blame for this, that, and the other thing. And so what I want to do is get back to doing some of the things I used to do before, like the cooking of the skeets, guys, okay? That was funny, and it got people's attention, and they enjoyed watching it. I need to figure out a way of taking scenes like, this gelatinous smiley thing, whatever the hell that was, and being able to tell a funny story about it that'll get people to give a damn. I need to figure out a way of getting people to, like crabs, aside from the fact of eating them. I really like to get people to like the fact that they like sharks, besides having them in shark fin soup. And appreciate that and try to do what they can to protect it. So here's the thing. I'm motivated. I don't want to be one of these guys out there on a sailboat sailing around and cruising and, living off of Patreon so I can, or going to a bar and doing a live stream at a bar and, hey, look at me, we're here having fun, buy us a beer. That is not what I am motivated to doing. That seems to be the new thing now. A couple channels on YouTube like SV Delos and Sailing La Vagabond have sort of set a bar, and now everybody's jumping on. I'm tracking like 85 channels right now in the sailing cruising genre with people trying to do the same thing. Hey, we're living on a boat, send me money. Not what I'm trying to do, okay? I've been dreaming about this, and I've been planning on doing this long before any of that stuff started happening. In fact, on YouTube, I've got there's some of my old material on there called Travelers in Paradise. If you search Travelers in Paradise, you'll find videos with me on it with my wife and daughter. We were going to buy a sailboat and sail around the world. It was a bit too commercial because, we had to make it pay. Television, that was aired on Versus Network, on network television, now NBC Sports. So big budget stuff, Too expensive to do that. So I need to figure out a way of being able to show people what's underneath the ocean and get them motivated. Sorrenti says people spend way too much time arguing about the ocean than actually realizing there is a problem. Yes, very true. Paralysis by analysis is part of that, Sorrenti. Christine says, too bad there isn't another channel you could collaborate with. And there are, Christine, but really not in what I'm trying to do. And for some reason, Yankee Living came in and he retracted his message. I don't know why you did that, Yankee, but welcome. So I don't know. Yeah, Christine, there are some other channels that do cruising and sailing. My hope is to motivate them to be able to do the same kind of stuff. We have such an opportunity while we're out there on a sailboat to be able to conduct citizen science projects and data collection and be generating really good information that we can get to higher powers. And that's my motivation. That's my passion. My passion isn't that I just want to get in a sailboat and sail around the world. I want to be able to show people what's underneath. So here's the problem. Okay. Here's my cell phone. See that? See how thin it is? Just a little tiny box, right? It's got nothing in it. It's just a little tiny box. So the problem is you can't see through that screen. You can't see everything inside this, all the fantastic things inside this until you turn it on. Because when it's off, you don't see anything. And so what I need to do is think of it like the surface of my phone is like the surface of the ocean. You look out across the ocean, you just see flat water. I got to figure out a way of turning on that screen so you can see through that top layer and be able to understand and appreciate and love what's underneath that surface. I guess that's kind of my motivation. I look at guys like Jacques Cousteau, who did awesome stuff and motivated a ton of people, but man, there hasn't been anybody like him in 50 years. 30 years, 40, in my lifetime. I mean, Jacques Cousteau was doing stuff when I was a little munchkin, but since then, we really don't have anybody doing very much. And so that's my passion, okay? And I'm willing to sell everything I've got and live on a very small boat, fairly uncomfortably with me and my dog, and try to bring content to you good folks and show you kind of what's there and hopefully motivate people to care about it. Not in the heavy-handed way that I see most of these conservation groups on. I'm not going to show you starving kids in Ethiopia. I'm not going to show you, well, I probably am going to show you some dead fish in places from time to time because that's a reality of it. But I'm not going to beat you up and tell you that it's all your fault that that's happening. I am going to try to educate you, but I'm going to try to do it in a fun, interesting way. And that's the stuff I'm working on now, is trying to figure out how to do it in a fun, easy way. And I've got sort of a warped sense of humor. Those of you guys that know me well know that I'm a little out there at times, but so I'm going to try to do things in a way that's going to motivate folks and keep people caring, if for lack of a better term. So anyhow, that's my motivation for wanting to go through this, is to help those things. And like those pictures I just showed you, let me show you. I have them right here on the wall. See them? I have those pictures blown up in large scale. I have them right here in front of me. I've got the turtle with the dead bag, with the plastic bag right there. I've got the bird with the plastic. I've got the shrimp over here. I have all that stuff right here around me to keep me focused and to keep me motivated. That's kind of why they're there, is so that I can, as I'm sitting here working on whatever, I look up and I get focused. I'm like, okay, get off my ass and let's start working towards my goal again. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So anyhow, I wanted to clarify that once again with you guys. I don't have a whole lot else to talk about because I'm really not freed up yet to go out and do what I want to do. So once again, I'm still stuck in a situation where I'm just doing a lot of planning and thinking and preparing, and I'm kind of stuck with that. Earlier today, I actually inventoried my scuba diving bag, made a list of all the equipment that I have. And I never wrote down the name brands of anything. In fact, I've got a Sherwood regulator. I have no idea what model it is. I don't know. I've owned it for a long time, used it for a long time. If I had to order parts for it, I have no idea what model I have to order parts for it. So I got a little homework to do for that, because I do need to have some parts for it. I got some things I have to fix up. But anyhow, let me see where we are comments with. Yes, Recycle Cottage and Garden. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. I know when Sarah Outen was doing her London to London expedition, she was collecting water samples, but no one else. Yeah, and Christine, I don't understand why not, except there's an expense. What you do is you take plastic bottles, hate to say it, but you take plastic bottles. In fact, if you notice, I've got a 1-liter bottle here. I've only been buying 1-liter drinking bottles, water bottles to drink out of. I refill them, of course. But I buy, when I need a replacement, I buy another 1 liter because the plastic study that's going on, they need a full liter of water for their sampling. So the expense is I've got to fill these water bottles that I've got, and I've got about, probably 10 dozen saved up now. I've got to fill them full of water, and then wherever I'm at, I have to mail them back to the lab in Maine. That can get a little spendy. Not too bad here in the United States, but, when I get to French Polynesia or Southern Caribbean and places like that, it can get expensive to do that. So that may be why no one else is doing it, but yeah, everybody should be collecting samples and sending it in. That's warped. That's one way of looking at it. Yes, I was a little munchkin. I shouldn't be eating and trying to type on the keyboard without my glasses on. Sorry. Yankee living, no problem. Hey, Nana, how you doing? Sorry you still have snow. Oh, gosh. Actually, Nana, I'm in the process of doing a video. I have most of it shot. I'm editing it right now. We've had snow. It was snowing this morning. I am so friggin' tired of snow. I can't tell you. I'm about to blow a gasket when it comes to snow. I had the driveway all blowed out and cleaned and nice. We had wind come up and blow snow drifts into the driveway and fill it back up. Literally, you couldn't even tell I had it cleared. That froze up overnight, rock hard. I had to hire a guy with a front end loader to come in and dig it out. He got done with that. Next morning, we had 9 inches of more snow to get dumped in there. I got that cleaned out. Then we were supposed to get another 9 inches. We only got a couple inches. I cleaned that out, and yesterday morning I woke up, my windshield was covered with snow. This morning I woke up, my windshield was covered with snow. I am so over the snow, it is unbelievable how over the snow I am. Unbelievable. I'm just, all I'm thinking is that I know I'm not going to be here next winter. I am not going to be here next winter. And I keep reminding myself of that so I can get the hell out of here. So, it's going to be 50 every day this week. Yeah, Sorrenti, actually, it's been fairly warm here. 41 degrees outside right now. So, Teresa says it's almost 80 there. Yeah, 41, but it was about 15 degrees this morning and snowing. So, it was just cold. I'm really fed up with it. I need the snow to move on. I really do, because I have a lot of stuff outside I want to get sold that I can't even get to. So I need to get that stuff dug out and start getting it moved. Let me talk a little bit about moving. Frustrating week this week. I had some folks that I thought were pretty solid. Lady was talking to her bank, putting in her application with her bank for funding and all that. Was supposed to hear back from her on Thursday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all came and went. Still haven't heard from her. So I guess her bank didn't give her funding that she wanted. I had some folks that were going to come out on Saturday. So yesterday, they came out and looked yesterday. And, yeah, I may be interested, but they're not in any kind of hurry. And so, they didn't make any offer or anything. Who knows? Maybe I'll hear from them, but. So kind of depressing around here a little bit today in that regard. I really thought I was going to be really in gear packing and getting, and now I'm sort of back to square one, got to find a buyer for the property. So that's kind of where that's at. Kind of slow and just going to take a lot longer than I was hoping it was going to, but I don't care. Anyway, whether I sell this property or not, I am not going to be here next winter. I don't care if I have to rent an apartment someplace. I will go rent an apartment someplace where I do not have to cut and split and haul wood and haul water, and I need someplace where I can live with a shower. Oh, okay, let's see. Nana says, put the chickens in their extended run so they could be on grass. Yeah. Well, right now I don't have any chickens, so that would be hard to do. And they don't have an extended run. So I guess you did that. So that's great. I'm glad you've got grass. I still have 2 feet of snow on the ground. I kid you not. I still have at least 2 feet of snow on the ground here. So Yankee Living says we still have tons of snow up in Maine. Yeah, I understand that. Teresa says, Carl, got a court date set for this month. Wish me luck. Oh, good luck, Teresa. I hope it goes well for you. And I hope with what happened with me is a good example for you, because my divorce worked very well in my favor. Although next month I have to make the first payment to the ex-wife, but that's okay. I only have to send her 30 payments. I have to send her 30 payments and I'm done. So fight to the very end. There you go. You do that. Yes, Rhonda, I am. I have my head down and I'm pushing through. I will be fine. I will be fine. So, hey, on another note, I had something interesting today. Rhonda, the Cheshire Canary, did something on Facebook today. And it was a thing. She had some sort of application she found where she could get a list of who it was who looked at her profile. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I did it. I clicked on her link to the thing so I could do my own profile. And I was really shocked at the results that I had gotten. I have the results here. My youngest son, Vincent, visited my profile 108 times in March. That's like 3 times a day. That's amazing. And yet my son Vincent never calls me. I occasionally get a what's it called, an Instagram picture that he'll send me, or they'll post pictures on Facebook and I'll see them of my granddaughter and stuff. But he never calls me. In fact, when I had made the statement, when I did a post on Facebook that I was going to not be moving to Ohio to be near the grandkids and was going to go to sailing, the only response I got from my son Vincent was a little sad emoticon. That was it. So I've not had a really good relationship with my son Vincent, but yet he goes to my Facebook times 108 times in a month. So that was pretty cool. My sister Linda Barrios goes there 102 times. Linda, I'm not at all surprised. My sister Linda keeps track of her younger brother. Linda and I get along great. She's my oldest sister, and I'm not surprised at that. What I am surprised at is number 3 in my list was my sister Terry. My sister Terry, who I grew up with, who's just about a year and a half older than me. Terry got on there 67 times in March. Terry doesn't talk to me. She doesn't talk to me at all. In fact, I've made numerous, attempts at trying to communicate with her, and it goes nowhere. But apparently she's checking up on me. So that's pretty cool, Terry. My oldest son, Carl, checked in 49 times. Now, my oldest son, Carl, used to call me on the phone pretty regular. Right now, he and I are on the outs, apparently. I don't know. And then my good friend, Kathy Platt from Montana, she checks it. She was my 5th person. So it's sort of interesting to see who your friends are, to see who's checking up on you and seeing that. It was refreshing to me to see that, and I was kind of pleased with it. So, Teresa, yes, worst part is over. Now it's the adjustment time. Yep. Rhonda says I don't have to stalk you. Well, it might be time you start to get that relationship going again. Which relationship are you talking about, Teresa? With my son Vincent? Yes, I agree. He's got his own life, though. Here's the thing. My kids are grown. They have children of their own now. So the relationship with them is what it is. I try to reach out and am receptive to anything that they want to do, but I don't want to impose on their life. So I don't want to be a burden to them or an imposition to them. So I'm going to let them set the pace and control the flow, as it were. So I'm here if they want to talk, but other than that, it'll be up to them. So, Yeah, Rhonda, maybe Rhonda can get on there. Or you guys check out Rhonda Frain on Facebook. You should friend Rhonda Frain, FRAIN, RONDA. Friend her, and you can probably check her post, and you'll see that what I'm talking about. Or get on my Facebook page. You know, my under Carl Brook, CARLBROOKE. Um, so you're still a father and grandfather. Keep at it. Yeah, I'm still a father and grandfather. That's not a problem. But you know, Teresa, with that comes responsibility, just like being a parent. Although it's a little different responsibility. I have completed my life's mission. You know, as human beings, our life mission is to raise children to replace ourselves. I've done that. Check that box off. I'm completed that. My kids are grown kids of their own with their own kids. They're doing great. So I sort of did that. Now it's my turn to set an example of, okay, now that you know you've gotten grown up and you've had your own kids, now it's my turn to set an example for them of a life well lived. And a life well lived is not a life where you're holding back and you know, you're living small. It just isn't. If you have an opportunity, I kind of feel like if I have an opportunity to sail around the world and to do the YouTube channel that I want to do, to set that example of service, of a higher purpose, if you will, a life of a higher purpose, then if I have the opportunity, then I also have the obligation to do that. And to use that as an ability of setting an example for others to follow, if that makes any sense to you. And so it's kind of the direction I'm going in. I feel a calling to that. I feel a requirement to that. And I'm trying to do everything I can up here in Alaska to expedite that. But I got a lot of stuff I have to do first before I can get there. So there you go. Thanks, Rhonda, for posting that up so people can check that out if they want. It is pretty interesting to see, you know, who's been looking at you and who's been checking out your face. So, not saying that, but you have to follow your heart, and that's good. Yes, Teresa, thank you. Trent, I feel like a loner, but I've never been happier being single. I can do whatever I want without being judged. Oh, Sorrenti, you know, I hear you, and I also understand that, but don't forget, we judge ourselves worse than anybody else, right? I am my own worst critic, absolutely. So, and I agree with you. I can do whatever I want to do. You know, as an example, up here in Alaska, marijuana is legal. You know, I can smoke marijuana all the time now. I have marijuana up on the shelf right now behind me in a plastic container. I could get some down, put it in a pipe, and smoke some. I don't because I don't want to. Legally, I can do it. Morally and ethically, I could certainly do it. But I just don't want to. You know, I have beer in my refrigerator. I could drink all the beer I wanted to. I just don't want to. You know, it doesn't motivate me anymore. It's not what my life is about. And I understand about loneliness. And Sorrenti, let me tell you, man, anytime you want to call me, you know, message me, go to the about section on my Facebook, on my YouTube channel. And on there is a way of messaging me directly. I'll send you my phone number. Call me anytime. If you're lonely, man, hey, reach out and give me a call. I would love to talk to you. You know, nobody has too many friends. I certainly would like to be friends with you. All I can. So it's as Rhonda's saying there. Yeah, you know, it's damn lonely being single. It really is. And having friends does make the time go faster. And not just the time goes faster, but you know, sometimes you need someone to bounce those ideas off of. Sometimes you need someone as, you know, as a check that you're not, you know, flying like me, you know. I'm selling everything I own. All the stuff that my family's had, tools that my father had, tools that my grandfather had, stuff that was, you know, important to my family at one point. I'm getting rid of all that. I'm shedding everything. I've got a 2001 Ford Excursion. When I leave Alaska, everything that I am going to take with me is going to fit inside that truck. If I can't fit it in that truck, it ain't going with me. So to give you an idea, that's how much stuff I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of everything. The chair I'm sitting in, the table the computer's sitting on, everything I'm getting rid of. Cleaning house. so that I can be free of all of these things, responsibilities, requirements, whatever, to go and start this new chapter in my life. And, that's a bold, hard thing to do. But in the meantime, it's a lonely thing to do. And so, like Rhonda and I talk, she calls me on her way home from work every day, and that's great. We talk to Rhonda, and I love it. Someone to talk to, someone to share with, and that's phenomenal. When my older son was calling me on a regular basis, I love that too. It was great to have someone to share with. So Sorrento, yeah, if you want to, bud, give me a call. No problem. I'd love to talk with you. It is very lonely being single, and I'd be more than happy to talk with you and build our friendship. So that's cool. Much better as a person now than I did for the first 5 years. Yeah, it does take some time living by yourself, Teresa, to kind of get to where you need to be. So it just takes some time. Little Sky says, I left everything in Texas and moved to Ohio in a single suitcase and a cat carrier. Hey, I can relate to that. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I don't know about a single suitcase. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that low because I already have a bunch of my sailing cruising gear. I got all my scuba equipment, my cameras and fishing equipment. All of that stuff's got to come with me. The single largest thing that's going to be in my truck is the dog crate for the dog. That'll be the single biggest item in the truck will be the dog crate. So, and you know what? If it gets that crowded, I'm going to toss her dog crate because there's really not going to be any place on the boat for a dog crate. So Teresa says, I have my grandkids and I love it, but ask me when they're all grow up if I'm still around. I like my grandkids too. I hope my grandkids come to visit me and join me a lot. That's one of the reasons why I have this channel. One of the main reasons why I started this channel was so that my grandkids could see these videos and learn a little bit about their grandfather and who he was and what he was like. But above and beyond that, they're in school and they've got their responsibilities and, so, this is my way of making it easy on them to get to know who their grandfather was. On the topic of trucks, I'm looking to find a truck for sale that's not a driving computer. If anybody has some good makes or models, please let me know. Oh, Sorrento, you're in trouble there. You can't buy a new truck without all this computerized stuff. Even my 2001, which is what now, 16, 17 years old, it's all still got computers and stuff in it that let it run. Not nearly as much as some of the ones I have today. Last year, my now ex-wife and I bought a 2015 Mustang convertible. She wanted the stupid car. And man, talk about computerized this and computerized that. There wasn't any part of that car wasn't computerized, right down to the ignition switch. You had a little fob, a little key fob. You could carry it in your shirt pocket. You never had to pull it out. All you had to do was get in proximity to the car. You didn't have to be inside the car. You could be outside the car. But as long as you were within range of this thing transmitting to the car, you could hit a button on the dash and the car started. Ridiculous how computerized they are today. So, yeah, maybe Teresa's right, Sorrento. Maybe going and trying to find an old truck. Get like a mid-70s pickup truck or something. Something like that might work. I'm looking at older Toyota Tacomas. Even the Toyota Tacomas are still young enough that they're probably computerized. I'd look for like a mid-70s Ford pickup, something along those lines. Hey, there's Bumblebee Junction. Hey, Mark, glad you chimed in. Been noticing your posts you've been putting up of your garden. Looks like you're getting all tilled and ready to go. I still have 2 feet of snow on the ground up here in Alaska, so obviously I'm not, but I'm not putting a garden in this year anyway. First time in I don't know how many years, but no garden for me. Actually, second time. I didn't really have a garden last year. Time for a change. Bastages can't track me on my tractor. Oh, okay, because your tractor doesn't have the GPS chip in it so they can figure out where you are. Yeah, that's another one of those wonderful technologies they now have in vehicles now. They can get on your GPS tracker and see where you're at and know exactly what you're doing and where you're going, you know. They want that information. Okay. Well, anyhow, so that's kind of the things I wanted to talk about. You know, I mean, my motivation for going sailing and the cruising lifestyle is just a motivation of trying to figure out a way of conveying to folks, you know, a conservation message, I guess, and in a fun, humorous wrapper, lack of a better term. Actually, I'm going to be taking quite a pay loss, maybe complete pay loss from doing that. You know, as a realtor, I do fairly well. You know, 6 figures. So, I mean, you know, I do well as a realtor. You know, I've made over 100,000 numerous times. I've had some very large transactions. You know, and you go and you have a real estate commission that's 100,000 or 60,000 or 50,000, and those happen. You know, you sell a $6 million ranch with a 6% commission. You know, that's a pretty big commission check. So, hello, Cheryl. And so I'm giving all that up with the idea of going and sailing around the world. In fact, I'm going to probably be able to buy the boat and equip it with what I need and get out of here with enough money to last me 24 months if I'm real careful. And that's about it. Yes, Mark. Yes, ocean plastics are beginning to get a bit more coverage of late. Mostly because they're beginning to put the connections together. That, and there's a couple lead scientists right now that are starting to talk more and more about that, and people are beginning to recognize the problem with that. You know, when you go into your favorite sushi place and they slice up a piece of very expensive ahi tuna, and they find in the guts of that tuna little pieces of plastic in it. It's not good. It's not good. You know, and that's what's happening is those microplastics are getting in through everything. You know, when we have things like let me pull it back up again here. When we have little guys like, you know, this shrimp, and I should tell you that this picture you're looking at here of the shrimp was taken with a microscope. I mean, this guy is tiny. Okay. Like this shrimp is about as big as the pointy end of a pen. So he's pretty small. But this is the basic foodstuffs that the oceans are made out of. You know, this little guy is eaten by something a little bit bigger than him, and that's eaten by something a little bit bigger than him, and bigger than that one, and bigger than that one, and bigger than that one, and so on and so forth. Until that tuna that you enjoy eating, you know, until he gets into the food chain, and then he goes and he eats, you know, bait fish that are out swimming around, and those bait fish ate the littler fish, and so on. So anyhow, that piece of plastic has worked its way up through the food chain, and into every aspect of our life. It's in water. It's in some of the subterranean water supplies now. You know, they're making beer in places in America now where the water itself has microplastics in it. And so when they make the beer, they end up with microplastics so small that it's getting through the 3 and 10 micron filters. And, you know, you go and buy a nice cold bottle of beer and there's pieces of microplastics floating around in the water. Really tiny pieces, microscopic level, but nonetheless they exist and they're there. And so I can't imagine that's going to be good for us, because what's going to happen is, you know, those things are going to start building up a toxicity level. You're going to start building up quantities, and it's going to become problematic. So anyhow, enough lecture for today. I just wanted you guys to understand my motivation for the direction that I'm going, and it seemed like it was going to be good subject matter today, and I found some good visuals to give you guys to kind of go along with that, so you can kind of you know, get a better idea. You know, when I see, you know, little guys, you know, like this turtle, you know, struggling for his life because he's got so much plastic that he swam into and around in the ocean. Come on, you know, you gotta think a little bit about that. You know, that's gotta pull on your heart. I don't care who you are, that's gotta pull on your heartstring a little bit. Somewhere deep down in you, even if you're a real cold-hearted bastard, you know, someone like Bumblebee Junction, like Mark there, pick on him. You know, you got to watch that. That's got to touch base with you someplace. I mean, that's got to fundamentally touch base with you somewhere. At least that's what I'm hoping to do. I don't want to keep slapping everybody in the face with that. And I know I've been doing that too much with my live streams. And I do apologize for putting out too much of that kind of content in my live stream. But I'm stuck here in Alaska and there's nothing else I can do right now. Okay. You know, I'm so frustrated with being stuck here in Alaska. Listen to me, I sound like a raving lunatic now, but that's where I'm getting to. I'm getting to be a raving lunatic because I'm stuck up here in Alaska, and I'm going to be here until I can get the rest of the snow melted off, get the rest of the stuff sold, and the property sold. And there's not really a whole lot at this point that I can do about that. I've got the property marketed every which way but Sunday. I've got it promoted and marketed every single way I can think of, right up to and including, you know, the video that that I did. How many of you guys saw? How many of you guys saw the video that I did of the property? Did anybody catch that? If you didn't, you should see that because it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. Let me see if I can find that for you here real quick. Fishing for chickens. That was a good video. I got in trouble with that video. Anybody here see that video, fishing for chickens? That video got me in a lot of trouble. It got me in a lot of trouble because it, what in the hell is that?
Hi folks, Carl here.
There you go. There you can see it. Let me work on this a bit though. Huh. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing.
Hi folks, Carl here.
That doesn't
Let me tell you
work,
about this great 80-acre parcel we have for sale at the north end of the Matsu Valley here in Alaska.
Oh, I know why that's
Maybe you want to do a little farming and raise some critters, or put in a peony farm and raise some peonies. Maybe you're a dog musher and you've got Iditarod dreams. Maybe you want to do a little fishing, moose hunting in the front yard, or maybe a little bit bigger game than that.
Now you guys can see that.
Either way, this 80 acres has it all. We're centrally located in south central Alaska, 100 miles north of Anchorage and 200 miles south of Fairbanks. As you can see in the zoomed in picture here, we're not too far from the Talkeetna Spur Road at mile 96 off the Parks Highway. Our property has 320 acres of university land off to the east.
Anyhow, guys, that's the video I was talking about. I did a real estate video on there. I think Rhonda's posted a link to it. So I made a video about the property. Of course, that's something that I do. I've got it put on the multiple listing service. I've got it advertised on Facebook. I've put it on Craigslist and Alaska's list. You know, there's nothing else at this point I can do to get the word out there except now just sit back and wait. And to answer the question, yeah, my daughter was a sled dog musher. A dog musher as in Iditarod, and we moved up here to Alaska because she wanted better trail access so that she could train her dogs to run Iditarod. Now, she did run the junior Iditarod when she was 14, and then the next year we moved up here, and then the year after that, while we were up here, she had a sledding accident that took her into deep water. During, you know, so the dogs and her broke through the ice into deep water. It was a life-threatening situation. And it scared her, and she pretty much stopped dog mushing at that point. Although we kept feeding dogs. And that was, I think, one of the big problems that happened in our family, is that I was pretty adamant at that point that if she's not going to dog mush, we can't afford to spend $1,000 a month feeding 50 dogs that we're not using anymore. My daughter looked at them, of course, as her pets, not her sled dogs, which you should not do as a dog musher. And anyhow, it was a bad situation, but it's over with now. So she's no longer here. She's now studying genetics, some sort of thing with genetics and whatever. So she's moved on. Must say I was completely unaware of the peonies. Yeah, we have a lot of peonies. I've got 500 roots in the ground already. This location is an ideal location for raising peonies because Alaska has peonies available at a time of year that no place else in the world does. So if you want to have peonies at your wedding, which is peonies are the number 2 flower after the rose. If you want to have peonies at your wedding, and your wedding is going to be in late July, August into September, the only place your peonies can come from is up here in Alaska. So it's big business. It is the single largest cash crop for Alaska right now. And to give you an idea, a single stem, I can sell retail a single stem at $6 a piece. So when you get 10 of those each year from a plant, and you have 3,000 to 5,000 plants on the ground, that's a lot of chinks. It's a lot of chinks. If my wife and I stayed married, we would have been planting more peonies and expanding that, and I would have had 3,000 to 5,000 roots in the ground by now. But with us getting divorced and me hurting my back, I can't do it myself. So peonies just are not a viable thing for me to do by myself. So that's one of the reasons why I'm selling the farm as well. Anyhow, so that's kind of it with peonies. But yep, good cash crop up here in Alaska. We've got 500 roots in the ground, and they're doing wonderfully. Well, they're buried underneath snow right now, but they do wonderful as peonies. So anyhow, guys, what colors do I grow? I have got coral charms, which are sort of a pink. But other than that, I've got everything. I've got some Ito peonies, which are yellow. I've got some whites. I've got some blushes. I've got some reds. We have a lot of different colors. There's probably 100 different varieties of peonies in the world, and I think we've got 7 or 8 of those types of peonies. So we've got quite a few. Rhonda says she lost the feed. Actually, my feed's been feeding just fine. Everything here is working, so refresh, Rhonda. But I'm going to go ahead and end it now here anyway, I think, unless somebody else has got something they want to talk about. I will be glad to entertain questions. We can continue talking about stuff. If not, then, we pretty much blew a whole hour again, so we'll go on from there. So, yes, Teresa, is pretty sad. It was pretty sad. Sad situation all around, but it is what it is. Hey, Paulie, how are you? You talk about Coast Guard documentation versus state registration for sailboat, pros and cons. Yeah, I can do that, Paulie. I think I've got enough history with that. It's real simple. Coast Guard is a federal documentation, so you get your certification for your boat, like your boat registration, directly from the Coast Guard, not from any particular state. So if you don't have your boat registered in a particular state, you're not paying taxes to that state for that boat registration. You also don't have to go back to that state to renew your registration. Those are kind of like the biggest aspects of Coast Guard registrations. When you register with the Coast Guard, you can be in Egypt and through the internet or through the mail renew your documentation once it's originally set up. The Coast Guard does have you jump through some hoops with the initial documentation. You have to go into the Coast Guard offices and stuff, and they want to see who you bought it from and all that kind of information. They come on and inspect the boat, make sure it meets their requirements, but then you'll get a Coast Guard registration, and then you don't have to register in any particular state. You just have your Coast Guard registration, and so it's much more advantageous, especially if you're out as a world cruiser. You come into other countries, they don't care about, Florida or New York or California registration. They want to see the U.S. Coast Guard documentation they are much more concerned with Coast Guard documentation and much more receptive to it because they've seen it so many times, as opposed to the various states' registrations, which vary from state to state, and the requirements vary from state to state. So the Coast Guard documentation is really the only way to go if you're going to be moving a boat around. If you're going to keep it coastal United States, then you might want to do a state registration if you're going to keep it in local waters. But if you're going to go abroad, you definitely want to do the Coast Guard documentation instead. Just a lot better. So, hey, Ron, I'm glad you made it back. PC Guy, well, I missed the show, was watching the new Star Trek. Continues to come out today. Oh, cool. I didn't know there was a new Star Trek. Well, anyhow, PC Guy, I'm glad you made it here. Coast Guard of the Air Force. Teresa, if your boy wants to join the Coast Guard of the Air Force, join the Coast Guard. Much less likely he's going to get shot at. Well, you get shot at by druggies, but they're usually so stoned they can't hit the broadside of a barn from the inside. Join the Air Force, you're going to get up against the military of other nations that know what they're doing. So join the Coast Guard. Much, much better situation. So, no, I didn't. The chicken video. I don't understand, Carolyn Harmon, what you mean by me, no, I didn't, the chicken video. I don't understand what that means. So sad, me, no, I didn't the chicken video. I don't get that. You'll have to explain that to me. I'm not up on that. WrestleMania is on right now, too. Oh, Mark, you're so bad. First choice is the Coast Guard. Good. That's where you should go. Native American Wander. For those of you that don't know, I just said hello to him in Lakota. I know some people that might be interested in moving to Alaska. I will tell them about your channel and your home and acreage for sale. Oh, well, I appreciate that, Native American Wanderer. I really do. I really do. Thank you very much. I saw the property video. Well, good, Carolyn. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So anybody that knows anybody out there that wants to buy, and really, you know, guys, for Alaska, and I'm a realtor up here, so I see a lot of Alaska properties. This is really a really nice piece of land for Alaska. It's 80 acres. It's all dry. There's no swamp ground on the property at all. It's all mature forest, mostly aspen and spruce, with a smattering of birch in it, and some alders and some willows. Great place to operate a peony farm if somebody wanted to do that. And, you know, really a viable business, this peony farm. You know, I did my homework on it, and if I didn't have a bad back, I would think about staying here and doing it myself, because you only, you know, like Mark on here, Bumblebee, he's into gardening. You only plant a peony once about every 30 to 50 years, and that plant will grow for 30 to 50 years. It keeps coming back year after year after year. So, yeah, it may cost $5-6 to buy the plant and put it in the ground, and that's the expensive part. But once they're in the ground, they require very little maintenance, really very little. In the fall, you mow them off so that there's nothing above the ground. You pull all that stuff off that you mowed off and burn it, so you get rid of it. And then in the spring, I give them a little lime and fertilizer. I have them on raised beds covered with Typar, so I have very little weeding to do. To keep the beds clean. And you know, in June, July, I start harvesting off the buds, and I can sell those directly to florists in the lower 48 at $6 a piece. So, you know, not bad shekels. You know, you're only working for 3 out of the 12 months out of the year. You know, you start, well, I don't know. I fertilize in May, late April, May. As soon as the snow's off, I'll throw the fertilizer and lime in. I'll start weeding in June. They'll need a little weeding, June, July. I'll weed them once, maybe twice. And then that's it until I harvest. And then after the harvest, I wait until the end of September, mow them off, and I'm done. So it's not really like months worth of work. It's a lot of time, but you're really not out there doing very much. And man, you know, when you've got a house full of peonies blooming, really smells great. So yeah, kind of like asparagus. You plant them once and they keep coming back for years and years and years after that. Although peonies are easier to grow than asparagus is. Bad back, welcome to my world. Yeah, PC guy, I went to chiropractors for years and years and years because of my bad back. I mean, like decades. And then I finally found a guy in Montana who was a sports chiropractor, a sports physician and chiropractor. And he adjusted my back, but he also gave me some stretching exercises to do. I haven't needed a chiropractor since. So I'm good to go now. Occasionally I'll get a backache now if I do something stupid, but I've got stretching exercises I can do, puts me right back in where I need to go, and I'm good to go. So yeah, Rhonda, something like rhubarb. Yep, it grows very much like rhubarb. Keeps coming back year after year after year. And some of my backyard is filled with grapes. Grapes are easy to grow once you know what you're doing. Yeah, Sorrenti, I agree with that. And grapes taste great. Plus, you can make grape juice out of them, and you can make wine from them. Grapes are awesome. We used to grow grapes when we lived in New York on Long Island. I really enjoyed having grapes. So, and again, that's a plant that once you're in, you're in. You don't have to keep going back. But grapes take a lot of pruning, and the ground takes some work, and so I mean, there's some other work involved. And grapes, you don't sell grapes for $6 a bud either. You don't get nearly the money for grapes that we get for the peonies. So, ooh, you went the surgery route, PC guy. Sorry to hear that. Yes, peonies do not taste very good. That's very true, Mark. Yeah, peonies definitely do not taste very good. But you know, that money buys some really good beef. So think of it that way. Think of it that way. Yep. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. Unless anybody's got any other questions, I appreciate the questions that came in. Next door neighbor at the off-grid has a bunch of grapes growing. Yeah, grapes are cool. I mean, they really are cool. Once you have them in place, they grow forever. You know, I know places that have grapevines that are 100 years old. They, if taken care of properly, will last forever and will continue producing grapes. In fact, the older they get, the better they get, I believe. So anyhow, guys, let's go ahead and end this here. It's 11 minutes after 4. We went over a little bit, not very much. I'm not going to do any channel shout outs. I thought about doing that today, but I really haven't seen a new channel pop up lately that, no, you know what? I'll do that. There's a video channel out there called Drenched, Drenched. It's a little different than the other channels that I've seen. It's about a young couple that are going different locations scuba diving and doing videos about, you know, their antics, visiting places and doing some scuba diving. So might want to get on YouTube and check out Drenched, Drenched. Maybe Rhonda can put a link, or Teresa could put a link in there to that. That would be cool. And yep, live feed every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And Rhonda is saying meme, or maybe she's saying me. I don't know if she's saying me or meme. You guys decide. It'll be up to you. I'm going to give her a second, see if she can post a link to Drenched. Pretty cool channel, and there is so little out there on YouTube about scuba diving, guys. There is so little out there. I mean, I can count the number of channels producing scuba diving content on my two hands. There's less than 10. And most of those are scuba manufacturers like Sherwood, SDI, and, you know, Nowie, and those guys, you know, the Patty, the instructor, the courses that, you know, the regulatory bodies that allow you to get certified, or the manufacturers. That's most of the channels. As far as private individuals, I think there's less than 5 of them that I've found on YouTube. Very, very few. And frankly, the content out there has not been great. But if you get a chance to check on the channel Drenched, Drenched, on YouTube, that'd be great. Check them out and watch them. They put there you go. Thank you, Rhonda. She's got a link to it, so you can click on that link and watch them. But other than that, guys, I think we're going to call it here. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday. And if anybody has anything else to add or what have you, then contact me, and we will try to get it into the live feed next week. And other than that, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.